Hey there! So, Lucas, let me ask you something. Why does it feel like some people are, just sprinting ahead in life, while the rest of us are just, stuck?
Honestly, Jane, it's like being on a treadmill. You're sweating, your heart is racing, and you're absolutely exhausted. But when you look to your side, you realize you haven't moved an inch. Haha, it's the ultimate psychological trap, and I think we've all been there at some point.
Exactly. And it's not just the gym. I see it with our English learners every single day. They're practicing, they're buying all the books, but they feel like they're hitting an invisible wall. So today, we're pulling back the curtain on why that happens. Welcome back to the English Learn HQ podcast, everyone. I'm Jane.
And I'm Lucas. And, I used to think I needed a massive, heroic breakthrough every week to be successful. Like, I thought if I didn't have a wow moment where everything changed instantly, I was failing. But I've learned that the secret sauce is actually way smaller and much quieter than we think.
It's almost invisible, right? My own English journey only really started moving when I stopped looking for a mountain to conquer and focused on, the fog lifting. It wasn't one big explosion of knowledge. It was just tiny, tiny daily exposures that eventually made everything clear.
Oh, I love that metaphor. A slow sunrise rather than a lightning bolt. Oh, before we dive into the how, just a quick reminder for everyone. Check the description of this episode for the key takeaways and the full vocabulary list. We're going to be using some advanced phrases naturally as we talk, so that's your cheat sheet.
Right, so Lucas, let's get into the why. Why do we stay stuck on that treadmill even when we really want to move forward?
Well, it's our safety-first brain, Jane. I mean, evolutionarily, change feels like a threat to us. We hit these mental walls. The biggest one? The fear of failure. That paralyzing anxiety about looking silly or making a mistake in front of other people.
Hey, I call that the spotlight effect. We think everyone is watching our mistakes, but they're actually all too busy worrying about their own. And that leads to the second wall, lack of direction. If you say, I want to be better, but you don't have a map, you're just wandering in circles in the woods.
Totally. And while you're wandering, you've got that negative self-talk. That inner critic whispering, I'm just not a language person, or I'm too old for this. It's like trying to run a marathon with heavy weights tied to your ankles. Ooh, we wait for motivation to save us, but as we always say, motivation is a fair weather friend. It disappears the second things get difficult.
Exactly. Motivation is actually the reward you get after you start. It's the dopamine hit from the progress, not the fuel you need to start the engine. I remember I once forced myself to do just 5 minutes of stretching on a cold, rainy Tuesday when I just wanted to quit, and that tiny spark, that was what finally built my entire morning routine.
It's all about breaking that initial seal of resistance. This leads us straight to the 1% rule. It's simple math, but wow, it's life-changing. If you improve by just 1% every day, thanks to compounding, you're actually 37 times better by the end of the year.
Wow, 37 times. Think about that. You don't need to be a genius. You just need to be slightly better than you were yesterday. James Clear calls these atomic habits. Every time you hit play on this podcast, you're casting a vote for yourself as an English speaker.
Right on. You're shifting your identity. But okay, we have to warn people about the plateau of latent potential. Hey, it's a mouthful, but it's the most dangerous part of the journey. It's like heating an ice cube. From 25 degrees to 31 degrees, it stays frozen. It looks like nothing is happening. But at 32 degrees, it melts. Most people quit at 31 because they can't see the molecules moving yet.
That is such a great way to put it. You have to keep a growth mindset during that frozen period. You have to believe the struggle is the growth. You can even hack your own biology here using your RAS, your reticular activating system. It's like your brain's internal search filter.
Oh, I love the RAS. It's why when you decide you want a specific car, you suddenly see that exact car on every street corner. If you tell your brain English is impossible, it will find every difficult word to prove you right. But if you tell it, I am finding opportunities to learn, your RAS will start highlighting song lyrics and signs you actually understand.
You're basically programming your own search engine. So, Lucas, let's get practical. We talk about the 1% rule, but what does that actually look like? What are some micro steps people can do today?
Wait for it. This is where people get confused. They think a small step is running a 5K. No, a small step is, well, putting on your running shoes. Let's break these down into 4 areas: physical, mental, digital, and social.
Love that. Let's start with physical. What's the smallest thing someone can do for their body?
Honestly, the morning hydration rule. Before you touch your phone, before you drink coffee, just drink 1 glass of water. It sounds too simple to matter, right? But it tells your brain, I'm taking care of myself first. It wakes up your metabolism and clears that morning fog we talked about.
That's so true. I started doing that last month, and wow, what a difference. What about mental steps, especially for our learners?
My favorite? The 1-sentence journal. Don't try to write a novel. Just write 1 sentence in English about your day before you sleep. Today I felt tired but productive. That's it. You're building the habit of thinking in English without all that pressure.
Right, and it builds that identity. You can say, I am someone who writes in English every day. Okay, let's talk about digital habits. Phones are the biggest energy vampires, aren't they?
They really are. Here's a tiny step, the 30-minute screen buffer. Commit to not checking social media for the first 30 minutes of your day. Instead of letting the world's chaos into your brain the second you wake up, give yourself 30 minutes of peace. Listen to 5 minutes of English or just sit with your coffee. It changes the entire frequency of your day.
Wow, that really is a game changer. I notice when I check my email immediately, I spend the rest of the day just reacting to other people's problems. What about social steps?
This one is powerful. The gratitude text. Send 1 text message every morning to someone you appreciate. A simple, hey, thanks for your help yesterday. It shifts your brain from what's wrong with my life to what's right in my life. It trains your RAS to look for kindness.
Oh, I love that. And for English, maybe that social step is just leaving 1 comment on a YouTube video in English. It's a tiny interaction that builds your courage muscle.
Exactly. And we can't forget the 1-word search. When you're walking around, pick 1 object, a tree, a cloud, and ask yourself, do I know the English word for this? If you don't, look it up. That's a 10-second habit that builds your vocabulary exponentially.
It's about making curiosity a habit. So, water first, 1-sentence journaling, the digital buffer, a gratitude text, and the 1-word search. These aren't mountains, Lucas. They're just pebbles.
But you build a mountain with pebbles, Jane. If you do these, you're already in the top 1% of people taking control of their lives. And remember, done is better than perfect. Perfectionism is really just, well, procrastination in a fancy suit.
Ouch, that one hits a little too close to home. But it's true. Perfectionism is a shield we use to hide from being judged. An imperfect 2-minute conversation today is worth way more than a perfect study plan that you never actually start.
Totally. So, here is your challenge. Take one of those 2-minute actions. Just one. Take the easiest one. It's too short to be scary, but it's enough to start your momentum.
And finally, check your environment. Are you hanging out with energy vampires who drain your ambition, or radiators who inspire you? You have to make growth the path of least resistance. Put your English book on your pillow. Change your phone's language. Make it hard to fail.
Jane, we've covered so much ground. Before we wrap up, let's look at our key takeaways for the day.
Definitely. First, the 1% rule. Small daily gains are more powerful than occasional big efforts. Second, micro habits. Use tiny steps like morning hydration to build momentum. And third, identity over goals. Focus on becoming an English speaker, not just studying.
Right, and don't forget the reticular activating system. Train your brain to look for progress, not mistakes. Use that gratitude text to shift your focus.
Now, let's quickly recap those fancy suit phrases from our vocabulary list.
First, light bulb moment. That instant where a difficult concept finally clicks and you suddenly understand.
Then, compound interest. The idea that tiny gains grow exponentially over time.
And procrastination in a fancy suit. Remember, perfectionism is often just a clever way to avoid starting.
We also had energy vampires versus radiators. Choose people who give off heat and light. And finally, digital buffer, that space you create between yourself and your screens.
Use those tools this week, everyone. Any final words, Jane?
Just this. Your past doesn't define you. Your next 5 minutes do. You can't change where you started, but you can change the direction you're heading right now. So, what are you going to do with your next 5 minutes?
I love that. A fresh start is always just 5 minutes away. Scroll down to the description for the vocab and action steps. If you got even a 1% boost today, hit subscribe and share this with a friend who needs a radiator in their life.
We'll be back soon. See you in the next episode of the English Learn HQ podcast.
Keep growing, everyone. Bye-bye.
See you in the next episode.